welcome back to a very familiar place. We're back in the garage with the Silvia behind me, and last week's video you guys saw me stitch weld some of the more exposed seams in the engine bay to kind of give it a more custom look, I guess you could say. But in today's video we finally got the trailer fenders and we're going to start the tubbing process of the fender wells. So there's not much to explain here, probably the easiest and cheapest way to do it. So let's jump into it. So here we have the trailer fenders. They are 9 inches wide, and that is the reason I bought 2 of them. Normally you only need 1 because you'll slice it down the half, mount it into the engine bay, and fab it up and fit it to the strut tower area. But because they're only 9 inches and not wider, we're going to do it a little differently. I'll explain more about what I'm talking about once I get these cut, but at first I'm going to cut these in half and I'll show you guys what's going on with that. Alright, so we have one of the trailer fenders cut in half. I had to do a little bit of trimming on the length to make it fit, but I've got it somewhat mocked up in the engine bay right now. We're going to measure it out, make sure that we can set them evenly, and I'll show you guys what I'm doing to prevent the gapping that's going on and everything else, so that everything lines up nice. It's all sealed and looks really well done. So obviously our first step will be to cut out all this extra metal here that we don't need. We will be leaving this panel so that we can build a plate going up, but we can cut that and the side edges out, and then obviously around the bottom. The biggest thing you'll see is the fact that this doesn't go all the way through. Now I know there's a couple ways of doing that, but what I decided to do is buy a second fender for taking a chunk off and butting it up to the end of that, welding it together, and then that will be the extension that we need in order to build the fender well all the way across. So if you look, that goes in line. It's going to come out to about, it's going to be in here. We want it all the way out pretty much flush. So what I'm going to do is measure how wide I need the next piece to be, cut it that width all the way down. Obviously I'm going to use this as a template for whatever piece needs to match up with it, and I guess we'll just make it fit through here. Now I'm not 100% sure about cutting this so much, but we'll see what happens. We'll start with what we have, we'll start cutting, and then we'll kind of go and figure it out as we're going, because now that I look at it, I just realized that's kind of structural shit, so we'll figure something out. Oh my god, I am leaking, boys. I'm leaking. I think I'm going to take a little break. The fenders are cut out, and I managed to get around the wiring harness without cutting anything, so that's dope. But should use a little bit of buffing, I guess. Clean it up a bit, but she's open, and somewhat ready for the fenders. So I'm going to set them in and see what I need to do next. So I just held this little piece of cardboard up against the strut and kind of cut it out freehand with a razor. I think I got it pretty decent. It'll require a tiny bit of cutting here and there, but I just traced it out onto the trailer fender. We'll do our first cuts and see what's up, see how close we can get it. So I apologize for not filming that process, but so far it's just been a lot of cutting, and I'm sure you guys don't want to hear a grinder going off for a while. So I did figure out the fitment on here. what I had to do is once I traced that outline, I ended up, once I cut everything out, I had to use a flapper disc just to kind of make minor adjustments, keep putting it back, taking it off, and flappering off whatever extra that I need or didn't need. And I think we got it now. I think this is pretty much where I'll be sitting. I'm pretty happy with this fitment. It's not perfect, but I mean, come on. As far as this piece goes, not 100% sure what I'm going to do. Maybe just cap it off or something, but we're going to be having a plate all the way across here anyway. So that's our clearance for the hood. Everything looks fine. So this is what we started with as far as fitment goes, and this is what we're finishing with. So I think that looks pretty good. Now my only issue is that this is sitting in about an inch from the not the frame rail, but the, I don't know, just a piece of sheet metal that connects to the frame rail. I think what I'll have to do is tack this in place and kind of do a little bit of pulling to see if I can make that fit a little further out, just so we can make sure we have the clearance we need. A lot of this is just going to be winging it because this is all completely new to me, like I've mentioned a couple times. But so far I think it's turned out pretty well. I think that the tubbing is going to turn out pretty dope. So that's exciting for me right now, but I'm gonna keep plugging away at it, and maybe I'll tack the top in place and see what I can do with the bottom, and I'll let you guys know, because once I figure out the one side, the next side should be pretty gravy. So looking at some of the stuff in the engine bay, I'm thinking I can trim a little extra. What I'm going to do is cut all of this piece out, and I'll just make my own metal plate to come and wrap around in here. And that, I believe, can stay. I'll have to check out some other people's setups, but that's definitely structural, so I don't want to mess with that too much. As you guys can probably tell, this isn't all happening today. This will be another multi-day project. Normally I start my projects on Sundays because there's not that much going on, and it seems to be working out well. So either throughout this week in the afternoons or by next Sunday, I will try and have everything lined up as far as getting some sheet metal and cutting and get everything set up to finish up these tubs. So I'm going to finish off tacking these, and then that'll probably be it for today, and I'll see you guys back here whenever I get to work on it next. Alright, you guys, welcome back to day 2 of the tubs build. We left off putting together the 2 tubs. I actually finished up welding one of them. There's kind of the end product. I won't show too close just because I'm going to redo the second side. You guys can see that process, but yeah, let's just continue on where we left off. It's hella cold today. It's like +4 out right now, so unfortunately I have to have the door open in order to get enough light for you guys. So I got the hoodie on, got the coveys on, work boots, and let's get to welding. So off camera I was doing a little bit of fab work, and damn boys, Muzzy's coming in. Alright, so I did some cutting and tried to figure out how I'm going to fit my super wide tubs in there. Now these aren't the width they're staying, I'll be cutting them back to where they need to be, but I did want them to reach from where they mounted all the way over to the side of not the frame, but the front end of the chassis, I guess. And in order to do that, I had to cut a bunch out to make room. And I have figured out what I'm going to do in order to keep that stable and reinforced, so we'll worry about that in the next video. But for now I'm going to show you guys how they fit up, and it looks good. So basically what I had to do is I had to cut all the extra that comes up here and all the way along the bottom of this piece right here. Now obviously that, I guess it's not horrible, but it's not the sturdiest. It doesn't make it the sturdiest thing ever. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to build either a nice bar or something that runs along here in order for it to stabilize again. But for now, I'm not going to worry about it. This is why I wanted to cut that. So that's gonna be chilling pretty much right there. Boom. That's gonna look deadly, boys, because now I just have to build a plate for the bottom. I have to weld this up here, and then I just have to cut along this edge here. So I think what's next is I'm gonna figure out how much I need to slice all the way down, and then we'll have our tubs. Okay, so this is what I was trying to do. I tacked it up at the top here, and I just want to have it sit where I think it needs to go so that I can kind of trace this line out and cut the tub where it needs to be cut. Now maybe I can leave a little bit extra, I'm not really sure. I don't know if I really need to though, because there's a lot there. Anyway, I currently have it kind of propped up down here. Now it is going to be slightly moved, so it will be sitting not exactly flush. I mean, I could just leave it twisted like that. The only issue is maybe when I build this piece it might cause some problems, but I'm fucking stoked, boys. That looks so good. That's actually insane. Okay, so I'm pretty much doing all this to the one side. The other side I actually still have a little bit to cut off, which I guess I could show you. Pretty much what I did is I chopped this out in the corner, made it flat with this edge here. I guess the bottom edge. Let's see if I can get you guys to see that proper. That bottom edge right along here is where I cut it to. So pretty much that's just making the room that I needed for the tub to tuck up in there like I wanted. And yeah, I'm kind of like winging it. I don't have a plan. Should I do all one side first so I know what I'm doing, or can I do step by step until I lose track and then I'll just stick to one side, or what? I think the next big thing would be probably measure out what needs to be cut off there, get this whole side set up, so the passenger side, have that all set up, and then I have this sheet metal here hanging out on the RB. I bought three sheets of 24 by 24 sheet metal, and that's what I'm going to use to finish up the rest of the tub. Now, what I'll be using that for is this bad boy right here, and then of course the bottom piece, because now that that's cut out, I'm going to have a flat piece coming across, over, boom, that'll mount up nice there. And then of course the kind of triangular piece that we got going on the side. But like I said, I think that's gonna, whoa, zoomed. I think that's gonna need a little bit extra support, so I might not do that part yet. And what I'll do with that is leave it until I figure out what I'm gonna do with that piece right there. So yeah, I guess it's time to get to the next part. So let's do this. Let's get going. Yeah. I just finished cleaning these up, and I didn't show you guys this or film it, but I ended up cutting that inner lip as close as I could, and then I just buffed it down with a flapper. So here's the extra pieces that were cut off. Just a little more room for the wheels. I've been out here for like, I don't know, a few hours probably. Like I said, I'm definitely not going to get this done today because I've got a dinner to go to tonight. I'm hoping Sunday or tomorrow. I don't know, one of these days I'll be back in here and trying to finish it up for you guys. Obviously finishing it up doesn't mean paint, but at least I'll get everything in place, get it all welded up, and show you guys what's next in the in the book of ideas for this engine bay build. Alright, so next up I measured the height and length distances that I'm going to need for the plate to go, the plate that faces the engine bay side. I figured out the measurements I need for it, and now I just need to trace this piece out onto the sheet metal. I'm going to cut a little bit extra, obviously, so I can tuck it up in this lip here. Yeah, it's actually not as difficult as I thought. Once I trace this outline, I should be able to, I'm just going to double check it, and then I'll be able to cut it out and hopefully tack it up where it needs to be. So we'll see how that goes, and yeah, I'll keep you updated. Fuck yeah, I look sweet. Okay, my nose is like red. It's cold, guys. It's so cold out. But that was a lot easier than I thought. I've got the line traced on where I need to cut the piece, and I'm going to leave it tacked where I had it because that's pretty much perfectly lined up. And yeah, so I've got it tacked there. Let's turn this shit down. And I just need to cut across here. I wasn't able to get all the way because of the piece that was in the way there, but I'll just cut this all the way across here. That should be almost perfect. I'll leave maybe a little bit extra. And yeah, I think I'm gonna start stitch welding this bad boy on, because honestly it's good to go back on now. Like, it's fine to stay in place or to permanently attach it. So I'm gonna get that going now, and fingers crossed that it turns out decent. We've got two slightly different gauges of metal here, so we'll see what we can do. Alright, so this side is kind of semi-tacked in. Doing this without the gas is proving to be extremely hard now once we get to the different types of metals and stuff, just because I keep eating through. No matter what, I have it all the way down. Yeah, so that's what was taking me so long to do everything. It was just the welding was fucked, and the stitch welds on the tub to the wall look like complete garbage. So I think what I'm gonna have to do is try and get some gas, or I have to hold off on this project until I get some, and then I'll probably just cover up these stitch welds because they look like garbage. I'll show you guys because it sucks, but I am done for today because this has been an extremely long process, and I'm ready to call it quits for a while. So we'll get back into it tomorrow, hopefully, and if we can't do it, then that'll be the end of the video, and if we can, I'll try and get it done for you guys, but it's looking like it's not going to be done in time for next week's post. We'll see what I can do, though. So those are the stitch welds. Oh my god. Anyway, stitch welds for this to there. I kept eating through, so they're pretty much just big blobs. Honestly, the ones down here that aren't seen, the ones down here are better, and then there's super shit up here. Like, I don't know, hopefully you guys can see that, but yeah, I've got the ISO way up, so it's probably a little blurry. Now, I knew this wasn't going to be easy without the gas. I just thought I would give it a go, because at first it did seem like it was working out, but now it's just it's proving to be a pain in my ass. So it's shitty, because I was really excited to get this done. Like, I know it's going to look good once everything's finished. It's just getting to that point is super annoying. So I will stop flapping to you guys. I'll probably have to clean up this garage a bit because Dustin's coming by tomorrow. But until then, I got nothing for you. So update coming for this video, hopefully soon. Like me so.